Before you spend another dollar creating more demand, ask yourself this: how much revenue is already leaking from the demand you have? Most owner-led businesses do not need more demand yet. They need to capture more of what is already entering the business. That might go against what most business owners hear every day. Create more traffic, run more ads, post more content, rank higher on Google, get more attention, and sometimes, yes, more demand matters. But for a lot of owner-led service businesses, more demand is not the first problem. The real problem is what happens after interest enters the business. Someone calls and nobody answers. A message comes in, but the response is slow. A quote request gets submitted, but the conversation loses momentum. A customer asks a question, but the communication feels scattered. A job opportunity gets priced, but then it sits there untouched. What most people call an old estimate, I call unconverted demand. Because that estimate is not just paperwork. It represents a real person with a real problem who already raised their hand. They had enough, but somewhere between interest and booked revenue, the opportunity stopped moving. That is not just a follow-up issue, that is a revenue leak. And this is where many owners misdiagnose the problem. They look at the business and think, we need more leads. But in reality, the business may already have demand. It is just not capturing enough of it. That is what I call a revenue recovery problem. A demand problem means there's not enough interest entering the business. A revenue recovery problem means interest is already entering the business, but too much of it is leaking out before it becomes booked work. And this matters because more demand does not fix a leaking system. More demand usually makes the leak more expensive. If communication is inconsistent, more demand creates more scattered communication. If unconverted demand is sitting untouched, more demand creates more missed revenue. If the owner is the only person keeping opportunities moving, more demand creates a bigger owner bottleneck. So before a business spends more money creating demand, it needs to ask better questions. How much incoming demand went unanswered this month? How fast are new opportunities being acknowledged? How much unconverted demand is sitting inside the business right now? How many conversations went quiet without a recovery motion? How many booked jobs should have happened but quietly died somewhere in the client flow? That is where revenue recovery starts. Not with another random tool. Not with more marketing noise. Not with a bigger ad budget. It starts by finding where booked revenue is being lost, then deciding what should be fixed first. Then building the recovery infrastructure that helps the business capture more of the demand it already has. That is the core idea behind revenue recovery systems. Most businesses do not need more demand first. They need to stop losing the booked revenue they already should have captured. If you run an owner-led business and you feel like calls, messages, quote requests, client flow, and communication are harder than they should be, this channel is built for you. I'm Jimmy Long, and I help owner-led businesses recover more booked jobs from the demand they already have. Start by finding the leak, then fix the system. Then create more demand from a stronger foundation,